We might kick off. There are a few people just coming in late, as I can see, but we might actually just kick things along. So before I just kick off today's webinar, is designed to be highly interactive, and I'd encourage you. You all might see in your left-hand menu logs on your screens that there's a questions tab. We'd encourage as many questions as possible to be submitted in the questions tab throughout this whole presentation and webinar. We won't answer these as we go, but we will hold a Q&A session at the conclusion of the presentation and attend to as many questions as possible. The webinar will also be recorded and sent post this webinar today to all registrants as well. Just a few more people coming in now. Just adding a few more people in. Well, welcome to Plenty's first GreenConnect series. This is a full month dedicated to highlighting the compelling features and benefits of each of GreenConnect battery and VPP offers and how they are helping installers sell more solar battery systems and reducing their customer electricity bills. This month and on today's webinar, we are going to be hearing from GreenConnect's hottest and trending offer, Amber for batteries, or Amber Electric. Firstly, for those who don't know me, my name is Louis Edwards and I head up Plenty's renewable energy finance business and have done since its inception in 2017. And joining me on today's call is Tim Barson, Head of Partnerships over at Amber. Just to set the scene just a little bit, as a nation, we have set the course for an accelerated transition to renewable energy and the electrification of Australian households. As a finance and technology company, we have positioned ourselves as an enablement platform that helps drive adoption and uptake of solar battery systems by making solutions more simpler and more affordable for Australian households. Plenty is proud to have delivered such an innovative platform in GreenConnect, and we are excited to show this to you today, as well as Amber for batteries. In 2021, there were 389,000 solar installations in Australia, but fewer than 10% of these were coupled with a residential battery system, a level of penetration which is well short of what is required if Australia is to meet its storage requirements. In fact, the Australian Energy Market Operator has called the need for energy storage capacity, which includes home battery installations and virtual power plant participation, to increase by 30 times by 2050. Just bear with me, the slides are just buffering a little bit. And Australian first, Plenty's GreenConnect aims to solve this issue by leveraging Plenty's finance and technology capabilities to provide a one-stop shop where, with the help of renewable energy equipment installers, Australians can access and sign up for exclusive battery and solar system deals, access renewable energy optimized energy plans, VPPs, and the ability to spread the cost of solar and battery systems over a 10-year loan term utilizing Plenty's renewable energy finance. Plenty's GreenConnect platform means that for the first time ever, accredited installers can offer consumers all-in-one point-of-sale energy solutions that, number one, provide upfront discounts or subsidies towards the cost of solar battery systems with selected providers. They allow easier access to energy and VPPs through Plenty's integration capabilities with selected energy providers. They unlock ongoing financial benefits. They can accelerate the return on investment on battery systems with selected providers, and utilizing Plenty's affordable financing products and access loan terms of up to 10 years. Now, featured on my screen here is our extremely popular and trending offer from Amber its Amber for Batteries offer, which my colleagues over at Amber will go through in greater detail in due course, but highlighted here on the page just shows you the compelling product features of each of Amber for Batteries' current offers on GreenConnect. Now, in addition to being able to access large upfront solar battery discounts and its ongoing financial benefits from selected energy retailers, accredited installers are also able to unlock Plenti's market-leading financing products, which can be used interchangeably at the point of sale, tailored to your customers' needs. We've been delighted at the response from accredited installers. Bear with me, this is buffering just a little bit. There we go. We've been delighted at the response from the installer market who have already signed up to and started utilizing Amber for Batteries in their battery sale appointments. In only its first 6 weeks of going live on GreenConnect, already over 50 installers have already signed up to Amber for Batteries, and over 40 battery applications have already been submitted by these installers, ensuring that their customers are accelerating their battery payback periods and reducing their customers' electricity bills. The overwhelming feedback from all active installers on GreenConnect has been that using solutions like Amber has increased their battery conversion rates and continued to further reduce their electricity bills. Now, to hear more about Amber, who they are, what they do, and how your customers can benefit, I'm now going to hand you over to Tim Barson, Head of Partnerships at Amber.
Thanks, Louis. It's good to be here today. Nice to know that we're the trending.
Just moving on.
Nice to know that we're the trending VPP. Louis, you're still talking. Might want to mute yourself. So, as mentioned,
over to you, Tim.
As mentioned, I look after partnerships for the Smart Shift side of the business, which is our automated demand response product, which is currently battery optimization right now, and perhaps in future we'll very soon have an EV optimization as well. So I look after a number of the installers as well. So my colleague Phil Crock, who's on the call today as well, will be your port of call for any Amber questions, either now or at the end of the webinar. You can reach out to us and we'll pass on our emails and Phil's at the end. All right, next slide. So first, who's Amber? We are a new energy retailer, been around for a few years, with a focus to shifting Australia to 100% renewable energy. This is our mission as a business, and it's why we exist. So the mission needs batteries, and that's why we're super excited to be partnered with Plenti to enable that. What we do differently to other retailers is we pass through the wholesale cost of power, which changes all the time and is settled every 30 minutes. The reason being, it gives the customers the market incentive to use more renewable energy when it's being produced and less when it's being produced by fossil fuels. For example, it might be 16 cents when it's being produced by solar and wind. Renewables have no input cost. Once you build the solar farm or put the solar panels on the roof, they continue to produce. Once you build a wind farm, wind doesn't cost any money, it blows very often, and when it does, the energy is very cheap. So all our Amber customers are incentivized via the app and notifications they can set up to manually shift their usage to times when it's cheaper and greener, and use a little less when it's being powered by coal and gas, which are the ones that are going up in price, and the reason for the reprices across the board and the big price rises we're seeing from other retailers is because of the higher coal and gas prices, whereas the renewables going in are actually bringing down the cost of power when they're being produced by renewable sources. So customers with Amber are incentivized to use more cheap green energy and less dirty, expensive energy. The only way we make our money is a $19 per month subscription charge, we pass through everything else at cost, which is the cost of power plus network charges and a couple of other insurance contracts fees that we take out to make sure our customers never pay more than the default market offer. We can talk more about the default market offer and our guarantee on that front at the end. So we are backed by some of the biggest names in Australian business, so you can rest assured we're not going anywhere. A number of our other retailers went out of business this time last year during the energy crisis. We actually grew our battery base in that time. The volatility is actually an opportunity for our battery customers, and we're going to talk about why. Next slide, please. So the reason we're here to help you sell more batteries. We need batteries to realize the renewable future. And we're going to talk about why wholesale plus an automated battery is the perfect pair for anyone considering a battery or you out there selling it. So our general amber offer on the left is, we lift back the curtain. Instead of charging you a flat rate and making money on all the energy we sell you, we show you what that energy is really worth and enable you via the app and your usage to shift to when it's cheapest and greenest. This doubles your impact. You are no longer providing a customer for fossil fuels, you're providing a customer for renewables. And that's our theory of change, that if you want to use more renewable energy, then a PPA or a offset is not going to cut it. You need to actually use more renewable energy and less when it's dirty and fossil fuel. Now, if you have a battery, we can automate this for you. No longer are you tied to whatever you're using in real time, but we can charge when it's cheapest for you, when it's being produced by wind and solar, and then discharge when it's super expensive and pay you the same as a big multi-million-dollar installation like a coal or gas generator. This means you're getting paid the full amount for your energy, and is the reason why wholesale plus an automated battery makes sense. You'll see on the right here, this is a screenshot from my app yesterday. I'm in South Australia and we had no sun. However, my battery plan in green was always looking for the cheapest time to charge up from the grid when it was being produced by perhaps some wind. And then, as you can see, it was looked to hit $1.20 per kilowatt hour, not an enormous spike, but the plan for my battery is to sell at that point, and I'll be keeping all the returns. So let's go on to the next slide, talk a bit more. So if your battery can be optimized in line with the wholesale market, charging when it's low and windy but not sunny perhaps, and then discharging when it's all the gas generators and coal generators are making their money, you can get paid the same as them. Now, the additional upside, the additional value that an automated battery can realize can be seen in green. So in grey, per state, you will see the average solar and battery savings for a 6.6 kilowatt system with a Powerwall sized battery of 13.5 kilowatt hours on someone who uses, say, 20 kilowatt hours per day. You'll probably agree that you might be able to, with that size system, nullify an electricity bill of, say, $2,000 per annum in Queensland. However, if we can automate that for you, when it's not windy, when it's not sunny, but it might be windy, we can top up your battery when it's green instead of having you buying from the grid. And then we can discharge when prices spike, as they often do. And that will realise another $1,000. So in Queensland, for example, there's an extra 50% more earnings to be made if we can optimise your battery. It varies per state, and there are some other networks that pass on bonuses, which we'll talk about later. But in general, you can see that an optimised battery, a smartened up battery, is going to pay back faster for your customers and improve the ROI on the battery, as well as not only taking yourself as a customer away from fossil fuel generation at night. If you don't have a battery, it's probably coming from coal and gas. If you do have a battery, well, it's not. However, if you can discharge in that same time, you're removing yourself as a customer for coal and gas, and you're supporting the renewable transition, selling your clean energy generated on your roof from your battery to directly offset coal and gas, doubling your climate impact. Next slide, please. So despite the extra value, customers aren't signing up to get their batteries automated. So why is this? Well, when you think automation, battery optimization, you think VPP. We don't call ourselves a VPP. A VPP implies that a retailer or a battery optimizer goes out and orchestrates a fleet of batteries to my benefit as the retailer. I'm going to keep the lion's share of the value. I'm going to do with all of your batteries what serves my interest the best and keep all that, and perhaps give you a token, a monthly credit on your account or a upfront discount on a battery in exchange for locking you in to perhaps a 5-year term if it's a generous, say, $1,000 upfront, or keeping you chained to them with a $500 credit that you might not be able to cash out or not be able to realize. If your battery is well sized, you probably don't have much of an electricity bill. We can change the conversation from saving you money to making you money. The Amber model is very different. It passes back all the value to the customer, and the optimization is done for them. So if we go to the next slide, I can talk a little more about the Amber difference. So we give customers what they want. You don't want to spend $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 on a battery only to give over the keys to your retailer who you're trying to break away from, in the traditional retailer sense. So customers are buying batteries for energy independence, and they want more control over their energy. So we give them the automation for them. This here is a battery plan for one customer. That customer's battery plan will be different to mine, be different to Louis, be different to Tyrant's, it'll be different to yours. The reason being is we all have different energy needs. I may be using nothing tonight, and my algorithm will know that. You may have a heavy energy use, and your algorithm will know that too. Your energy might be bigger. Your battery energy storage might be bigger. Your solar might be bigger. Your prices might be different. So we take into account all of this, and we build a plan for you based on your consumption, production, and system. And then we update that plan every 5 minutes with the latest data. So what we see here is the battery plan. It's planning to charge up a little bit, perhaps from some cheap grid energy before the sun really gets up, and then sell or cover load within the home, charge back up from solar, and then when prices rise, sell a portion, only the amount that makes sense to not have you drawing from the grid, and then perhaps overnight top up again. We update it all the time, and you have the absolute control to switch it off. If you don't like the plan, if you know something SmartShift doesn't, perhaps your load in blue is expected to be considerably higher than what it was last week on a similar day, then you can take control. You can turn off optimizations at any time. And if you think you know something SmartShift doesn't, perhaps you've got a storm coming and you want to charge your battery from the grid, you can do that. And then you can turn off optimizations. You can change how much of your battery you have apportioned to doing the SmartShift, buying low and selling high. We give the customer absolute control because at the end of the day, it is their battery. VPPs generally will not give you any of this control, nor any insight as to what's going on with your battery now or is planned for it in the future. You, if you had control, might do something silly, like charge during a price spike. That would affect their earnings. So they want to keep you in the dark and not give you this level of control. We don't mind. If you charge during a price spike, that's on you. But you might have a really good reason to use these. I have an EV, and I just earlier today saw some cheap grid energy on offer. Didn't want to use my battery. I hit preserve, plugged in the EV, and charging from my neighbor's solar. And then there's the value. So the biggest piece. We give the customer all of the money back from doing energy arbitrage in the wholesale market. They get paid exactly what their energy is worth, sometimes up to $15 per kilowatt hour. And customers can, and I have, as have others, made over $100 in a single day. Wholesale is variable. Some days you might make anything. Some days you might make $2. I think I'm up to 10 today. And then other days you'll make $60, $70, $100. We give it all to the customer, and there is no lock-in. Next slide. In terms of the value that's on offer, well, this is A couple of our customers. So this is one of my screenshots, the $14 per kilowatt hour. That's right, dollars per kilowatt hour. That was a price spike, I think, last month. It was a nice one and happened when I was interstate. So my battery was making money for me and I'm not home. And then the one next to that is one of our happy Ausgrid customers who's quite vocal online. He has a bit of an online presence, and you can see his consumption in blue is even greater than his exports in yellow, and yet his bill credit over 30 days is negative $1,357. He does have 2 power walls, this customer, but it's telling of what can happen when you combine wholesale with a big battery and some generous extra bonuses from some DNSP distributors. So David Hiley is another vocal customer of ours, and highlighting that we pay out our credit in cash. You request it and we'll pay it out. These 2 customers are in Ausgrid, which we're going to talk about now. Next slide. So as I mentioned, I'm in South Australia. I have an electric home, an electric car, and I don't have a power bill. I'm always in credit. But sometimes I wish I was in Ausgrid. So for those lucky Ausgridders out there, if you're selling in this region, the distributor there are passing on a bonus 27.8 feed-in tariff, which we, as we do, pass on in full. So this is on top of our wholesale feed-in tariff. So where I might be getting 10 cents at 2 o'clock, Ausgrid are topping that up with almost an extra 30. So I'd have 37.8 cents for all my exports from 2 o'clock and until 8 o'clock. The reason being, they're trying to maximize export in the time when it's needed most by the grid, so as to not have to upgrade the poles and wires and increase the power carrying capacity of the network in what might be only a strained area of the grid 3 or 4 hours a night in summertime. If they can change the way people use power, then incentivizing export and disincentivizing import when it's needed by the grid, as well as disincentivizing export when it is between 10 and 2 via a 2-cent penalty, then they'll do that. They will penalize you 1.85 cents for exports in the middle of the day. But if you have a compatible solar inverter, we'll just shut off the exports and let you create just as much as your home or your battery needs. So small penalty, less than 2 cents, massive reward. And what we see, as you know, we open book at Amber, we pass through the full amount, and these are the average feed-in tariffs. Apologies, the median feed-in tariff. We've carved out the biggest winners and the biggest losers as the sort of those on the outside, but the bulk in the middle. Last month, 67 cents was the average fit, and the buy price went up to 27 cents. This is SmartShift finding the cheapest time to top you up and the most profitable time to export. April, 34-cent fit and a 23-cent buy price. March, 37-cent fit and a 22-cent buy price. So considerably more for exports than for imports. And all this is automated. You don't have to manage it manually. It's going to learn your usage, and it's going to find you the cheapest time to charge and the most profitable time to discharge, and only the amount that it knows that you don't need. We're seeing it's only been 6 months or so since we've had a number of customers on here, but the early results are most customers make an average of $150 per month with a relatively smallish system. This bonus applies to both solar and battery exports. So we also don't have a maximum system size. You can put 30 kilowatts up, face it west, and cash it in. So if you're in Ausgrid, it's never been a better time to buy a battery. It's only running for another 12 months, but there are other networks coming on board with this too, and it is just a cherry on top, and it's going to help you sell more batteries in that region. Essential and Endeavour, the other 2 New South Wales networks, have similar two-way tariffs that we'll be offering from next month. So talk to us, and we can talk to you about how to get your customers the best payback with Amber. Next slide. So what's compatible? We work with a number of the big names in the industry. So SolarEdge with the old LGs or the new LGs, SolarEdge with their own battery, Tesla Powerwall, the Alpha ESS/Hive batteries, and the new SunGrow, not the old ones, but the new SunGrow hybrids. So we're pretty happy with that range, and we will be expanding it in the near future. These integrations do take a while, but we want to cover all the big brands that are hybrid solar and battery inverters, the likes of Fronius and Enphase and Goodwe. They're all on the to-do list. We hope to have them sometime next year. But right now, this is what we can work with. And there are other companies which can do battery optimization for us as well. But these are the ones that are offered via SmartShift. Next slide. And then GreenConnect. Yeah, so it's great to be super popular on there, and we're getting a lot of questions and working closely with the Plenty team. We recognise that the biggest barrier to entry, people want batteries, but if they don't, they buy more of them if only they're a little easier, a little faster to pay back, or if they could afford them up front. So Plenty's lowering that barrier to entry with their competitive renewable finance options. So customers can get a good low interest loan, and we'll help them pay it back. So yeah, really happy to be here today and field any questions you may have on Amber and Plenty.
Thank you very much, Tim. We're now going to open up the floor to questions and answers. The questions and answers will be hosted and asked by Tyron Rota. So Tyron, over to you for any questions and answers. Again, a quick prompt to everybody who is on the webinar today. On the left-hand side, there is a questions tab. Please plug away any of your questions that you might have. No question is too small or too complex. And Tim and I will endeavour to get to as many of them as we possibly can. Over to you, Tyron.
Perfect. Thanks, Louis, and thanks, Tim. Just to kick it off, I'll try and group a couple of them to specific people, either Tim or Louis. So, Tim, I think a couple of these are aimed at you to start off with. A couple of easy ones. What states is Amber available in?
Just on mute, Tim.
Of course. We work through all the NEM states excluding Ergon in Queensland and Tasmania. So Energex down to SAPN. So all Eastern Seaboard bar Energex and Tassie.
Perfect. You've jumped over one of the questions there, which does this work in Energex grid?
Energex, yes. Ergon, no.
Perfect. Thanks, Tim. How long does it take to SmartShift to learn about your consumption to ensure that the right capacity is saved, not exported during peak times?
It's a really good question, and one that we want our installer partners to know, because they're the ones talking to customers and setting the expectation around what's going to happen. So I mentioned SmartShift delivers value over time. So the wholesale market is irregular. There's a price spike expected tonight. But then I might not have one for 2 months or so. So you're not getting a flat 7-cent fit. You're getting sometimes nothing and sometimes $15. In terms of learning your usage, depending on the vendor. So some battery companies will take a week or two to enroll you on their end, and then the algorithm takes up about a month. It is 1 month where it will study your patterns. It looks at a number of things: your weekday pattern, your weekend patterns. And then we'll decide and get smarter from there. If you, after a month, it's learnt your sort of day in, day out behavior, if, say, you were to buy an EV and started charging that at night regularly, it would be until the end of the month where they would start to take that in to account when building your plan for the next month. So it works on a monthly cycle, but when you first get registered, it will take a week or two to get enrolled with the manufacturer via us, and then up to a month to learn your usage and adjust. If you are concerned about not having enough, selling it during a spike and then you're not having enough, then you as a customer can go on your Amber app, turn off optimizations, change the amount you have apportioned to the optimizations to 50%, and go from there, or anything in between.
Thanks, Tim. Also, so it mentions that Amber customers can earn up to $100 a day. Is there a cap on my earnings per day?
No, we don't have a maximum system size. We don't have a maximum battery or solar size, and we will cash you out. So that David Hiley fella, if you look on some of the Amber Facebook pages and other, then you'll see some very happy customers who have cashed out some very large amounts. So we let you play in the energy market, which has until now been restricted to the big players who your customers are trying to get away from. So the more, if you've got a huge battery, we can automate it for you, and you're making bigger climate impact, and we'll pay you exactly what it's worth.
Perfect, thank you. We're getting some great questions here through, so I'll ask one more through to you, Tim, then I'll throw it across for some questions for Louis, and then jump back to you again, Tim, as we get through some of these questions. So here's one. So Osgood is great, but what about Endeavour Energy Network, which is the most of New South Wales? Do you have any case studies for Endeavour? Now, I know, Tim, you mentioned that you're working on something with them at the moment. Do you have any case studies that you can kind of pull on from memory?
We do, and we've written some up. We can circulate them with the slides, or perhaps a link to attendees today. Yes, we have case studies for each state. And as I mentioned, the Ausgrid should be considered like a cherry on top. I am in South Australia. I don't get any bonus, and I do very well. So there is, however, a two-way tariff coming to Endeavour, and we hope to offer that next month sometime. It's not quite as lucrative as the Ausgrid one, which there's plenty of solar around at 2 p.m. in much of the year, and you get a bonus on that. This one, the bonus starts a little later, but it will act as a bit of a cherry on top to improve the earnings that those of us in SA and Victoria and Queensland don't have, nor do we need to deliver the value for customers. But yeah, watch this space for an Essential and an Endeavour two-way, both coming next month.
Perfect. Thanks, Tim. I'll give you a bit of a break, but I will circle back to you because we're getting some great questions in the door. Louis, a couple of questions for you more around GreenConnect. So here's a question: is what are the main benefits for me, an installer, to be on GreenConnect?
Yeah, good question. I think the main installers for GreenConnect are, there's a clear step change needed to graduate from solar. I think only 1.6% of households that have a solar system today actually have a battery. And I think the energy market operator has come out and basically said, with coal plants shutting down on an accelerated basis, the need to fill that void with energy storage is fairly important in a very short amount of time. And one of the biggest impact the installer market can have is to start to accelerate residential energy storage. But we also appreciate there's a few barriers to energy storage, and that is the upfront cost, that is the payback periods, and the perceived economic benefits that a customer is expected to receive when compared to a solar system. So what GreenConnect does, it breaks down all that complexity and it consolidates and makes the overall proposition of buying a solar and battery system far, far easier and far more compelling. And what I mean by that is we acknowledge that installers are the best place in the Australian market to sell battery systems. We know that because of the best at selling solar systems. But installers for a very long time have refrained from selling battery systems because of the perceived complexity of doing all of these things at the point of sale for consumers. What GreenConnect does, it breaks down all of these barriers by creating an all-in energy solution that actually provides potential upfront subsidies to reduce the cost of the battery with selected energy providers. It seamlessly integrates the VPP or energy or battery optimization process into Plenti's existing financing process. And it provides customers ongoing financial benefits, either through on monthly bill credits or variable bill credits or earning potential as expressed by Tim. Now, the benefit of GreenConnect, it houses all of that in one single consolidated technology platform so that installers can complete one application but get multiple results for their customers at the point of sale. So if you think about it like the mobile phone experience. Your mobile phone has a piece of hardware, the phone, the data plan, your energy plan, but you pay one single monthly repayment to your energy plan, to your energy provider or your bill provider. GreenConnect does a very, very similar thing, and that's the first step, we believe, into unlocking the potential of energy storage for installers and for consumers.
Thank you, Louis. And second question, rather straightforward. How's GreenConnect going since inception?
Yeah, GreenConnect's going exceptionally well. GreenConnect was launched in late April, early May, so it's really only going sort of for 8 to 10 weeks. We've been delighted by the response from energy retailers and battery manufacturers who have already joined GreenConnect. I think we've got upwards of 6 to 7 offers now live on GreenConnect, and we're also nearing our first 1 megawatt of VPP or battery optimization applications in the door in under sort of 90 and 100 days. And I think if you contrast that to many of the virtual power plants or energy plants out there in the country, that's a staggering amount of VPP applications in a very short amount of time. And I think what that signals and highlights is, when you make propositions or access to VPP and battery technology really, really simple and integrate into one application form, then it actually breaks down all of the perceived complexity for installers, and they're now more incentivized to want to link an energy plan or a VPP to their battery cell, because for the first time they can actually see how it actually reduces the payback period at the point of sale for their customers. So therefore, it actually increases the conversion rate of selling that solar and battery system at the point of sale. So GreenConnect is really helping the entire ecosystem sell more battery systems, sell them at a more affordable rate, help payback periods for consumers, and help reduce electricity bills. So it's going exceptionally well, and we're really only at the starting line as an industry, and we're really delighted that as an industry, everyone is trying to solve the battery uptake or adoption crisis that we're currently in together.
Perfect. And will there be more partners joining GreenConnect and different product types, I'm assuming outside of batteries and whatnot as well?
So I think GreenConnect has started with 5 or 6 offers. We'll continue to expand offers to cover differing sort of manufacturing brands, but also covering different parts of our renewable energy ecosystem. And what I mean by that is, when we first started, it was very much focused on batteries and VPP adoption rates. But we also see a need to expand to electrification. Electrification is here. It's also part of the overall solar and battery sales process. And again, we think installers are best placed to take on the energy efficiency or electrification step change as well. So I think the things that you'll see come on GreenConnect over the coming months will be, expansion to EV chargers, expansions to heat pumps. And what that will mean for the installer is they can actually create these sort of bundled offerings at the point of sale. So you can go from solar and battery to heat pump to EV charger, bundle all of that up with a payback period, with a monthly repayment, and signing up to a plan like Amber for batteries, so that the customer can actually enjoy electrifying their home, but also reduce electricity bills. So watch this space. We'll be expanding for more battery VPP offers and electrification.
Brilliant. And this one's probably been asked in 4 or 5 different ways, really, around the upfront cost of batteries and for an installer actually struggling to sell that at the point of sale. So are you seeing a large uptake in the 10-year loan options with Plenty in assisting in that upfront cost and getting people into actually purchasing those batteries?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I'll probably answer that in a few different ways. I think GreenConnect, its purpose is to help break down a lot of those upfront costs for installers and customers at the point of sale. And we've been doing that in partnership with retailers like Amber and with product manufacturers like battery manufacturers by providing upfront subsidy discounts or ongoing financial benefits to really break down either the upfront cost or provide ongoing financial benefits to reduce that payback period down. And what we're trying to do is and then couple that with a financing monthly repayment and expand that or extend that over to loan terms of up to 10 years. And our whole objective here is to, for consumers to be able to purchase a solar and battery system, receive an upfront subsidy or an ongoing subsidy depending on the selected provider, and pay that back over a term of 10 years with the monthly repayment that is either below their current electricity bill or as cash flow neutral as positive as possible, to really make it a bit of a no-brainer discussion. And that is to say, for only, for less than your current electricity bill, you can purchase a solar and battery system today and join Amber, which will unlock X, Y, and Z financial benefits. So that's all GreenConnect does. So yes, we are seeing strong appetite for our 10 years, particularly for those battery brands that have a higher loan amount or particularly in the bigger batteries. So spreading that over a 10-year period really gets that monthly repayment right down below their current electricity bill.
Brilliant. Thanks, Louis. And I might chuck it back over to Tim for a few more questions here. Really appreciate all the ones coming in, doing the best to consolidate as many as I can, because there's quite a few people asking similar questions. So, Tim, this one's come up quite a bit. On top of the subscription, my understanding is that the customer will also have to pay their daily/supply charge. Is that passed on without profit as well?
It is. Sometimes you might see a slightly higher supply charge with Amber than another retailer. The reason for that is all our meters are smart. For us to be able to offer real-time pricing that changes every 30 minutes, which is key to our being able to optimize your battery in line with when it's needed, then we need a smart meter, and it needs to be it doesn't need to be remotely read, it just needs to be a smart meter. And those metering fees are a little higher than the non-smart meter fees, but it will be the same cost that we get and passed on to you. Sometimes it'll be cheaper than another retailer, other times it won't be, but it will be passed on at cost.
Brilliant. And this is I guess a bit of a possibly a challenging question, but how would you overcome the objection of constantly charging and discharging the battery? Wouldn't this ultimately affect the life cycle of the battery and ultimately shorten the lifespan if customers are charging and discharging, say, 2 or 3 times a day?
3 times a day would not really be possible, I don't think. Twice is, it could happen, but it's not likely. Some of the early data we've seen on our customers on the most aggressive battery cycling profile, Earnings Optimizer, has an average of about 1.1 cycles per day. Now, batteries should be cycled or else they're not paying for themselves. If you've got a big battery on the wall and it's not getting charged from your, say, too small or shaded or winter solar system, then it's not paying for itself. Batteries start degrading from the moment they leave the factory. They degrade over time, they degrade from heat, and they need to be cycled or they won't pay for themselves. What we will do is help you cycle it and more effectively. If there is no sun, we will find the cheapest time and we will top you up. If the earnings are $10 per kilowatt hour, as I hope they hit tonight, then it's better me selling that at $10 a kilowatt hour and then buying again later at 20 cents per kilowatt hour. You have absolute control, as I mentioned, over how active your battery is. We have 2 optimization strategies. One of them will never cycle your battery more than once per day, and the other will allow a little more, but it won't always happen. Plus, if you think your battery's being overused, you can deactivate Smart Shift for a little while.
Perfect. Thank you. And at the moment, we've got 4 more questions for you, Tim, and I'll throw back for 2 questions over to Louis, unless a couple more come in. So, Tim, so this company here, they install in Queensland often larger systems, and they have to install export limits for inverters. How does that fit in with this product?
Yeah, it's a good question. So Amber delivers value from charging when your solar won't do it. So there's no limit to your import other than what your meter isolator will take. And then via export. And the figures I shared on slide 2, which broke out the additional value from Smart Shift, assume a full 5 kilowatt export. So you might have 2 power walls and a 5 kilowatt export limit. You will have more capacity to both cover your usage and export at 5. For example, I only have 1 battery with a 5 kilowatt power. And if I'm using 2 kilowatts during a price spike, I only have 3 to sell. If you have 2 power walls, for example, with 10 kilowatts of export power, then you can use the 2 in the home and export 5, as is allowed by your network on, say, a single phase. If you have a 3-phase property, then you more likely have a 5 kilowatt per phase export limit. So the numbers I shared can be multiplied, assuming your export limit will allow it, but it's not like you don't get any additional value from adding a second battery. You do. You have the capacity to use in the home, as well as charging whenever it's cheapest and you need it the most. So it will affect some of the earnings, but it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, as many things are with Amber.
Perfect. And Tim, you said that today your home battery has made around $100 or will make around $100.
I've made 10 today.
Yeah, in a cloudy Adelaide. It's extremely impressive. Is that just a 1 battery or 2 batteries, or what's your current setup, if you don't mind sharing?
I have 1 battery. I have 1 inverter and 2 batteries of 9.8 kilowatt hours. So I have Solar Edge with 2 LGs, the older ones. And my earnings today $12.24. And that was from a small price spike this morning. Only $1 or so before I got out of bed. It was $1 per kilowatt hour.
Perfect, thank you. And not all inverters have export limits. Negative electricity prices may affect savings. Do you have any recommendations around that?
Yeah, it's a good question and something we don't shy away from. The negative fit is real. It does happen, but it only affects those retrofit AC coupled batteries. So Tesla Powerwall, if we can't control the solar inverter. Now let's have a look at how much. I shared a slide. You can pull that one up. This is the reality of negative feed-in tariff. So with high highs come some low lows. As you can see, per state, what we're looking at is the upside potential from Smart Shift. So standard solar battery savings in blue. The upside, if we can automate that battery for you. So you take me, for example, I'm in South Australia with a 6.6 kilowatt system and a 13.5, which is a pretty standard size. The battery will save me $2,280, and there's an additional nearly $1,000 to be made optimizing. If I can't block exports whenever it goes negative, then I might lose $148, but there's still a whole lot of value there, and you can minimize the impact of negative feed-in tariff by maximizing self-consumption during the day. I bought myself a heat pump, which charges in the middle of the day always. And if you have SolarEdge or SunGrow hybrid or Alpha hybrid, we will automatically curtail your solar to only make what you need within the home and charge your battery. So we are working on integrations with other manufacturers as we speak. So, we plan to have all the big brands covered by end of the year, start of next year. And that'll include, the likes of Fronius, etc. So we also have hardware devices. We don't particularly love adding hardware. We do all our battery optimization in the cloud. We think hardware is another link in the chain, but we are supplying small self-installed hardware devices to our Fronius, SMA, Huawei customers at the moment. So they can reach out to myself or Phil, and we can explain more about how that works. They are supplied by Amber free of charge. However, at the moment, we need the consumption meter installed to make that work. We need to be able to see how much power is needed by the home in order to ramp down the solar to that amount. So if you're probably installing, say, a Fronius smart meter on an 8 kilowatt Primo inverter as it is to fulfill your export requirement, great. For those where you're not putting in a smart meter, if you're putting in a battery as well, thinking that you don't need it for monitoring, we would suggest if this battery is destined for Amber, that you install that cheap consumption meter, and we'll then have the hardware we need to be able to curtail should it go negative. But it is worth keeping in mind that the impact is felt greatest in South Australia, thanks to huge amounts of wind and sun here. However, we also have some of the highest prices too. So the upside is quite high. The other flip side is sometimes the whole cost of power goes negative. So these are all screenshots from my place. I get paid to charge my battery and my EV sometimes. You can see there, yes, there's a negative 9 cent, but what was coming that evening? $1 to $19 cost of power, which translates to $1 to $15 in feed-in tariff. So there are things you can do, maximizing self-consumption to limit the impact, but really it's only a bit of an issue in SA and Vic, and we are working on it for those AC couples scenarios.
Perfect. Thank you. And conscious that we've got 9 minutes left, I will. There's three remaining. A couple more have come through. Just for you, Tim, before I go to Louis. Does the wholesale price of electricity apply to electricity exported directly from solar panels or just the batteries?
Both. Good question. Retailers, their fits are going. Normal retailers, the traditional ones, their fits are going down, and the cost of power is going up. That's because of the volatility in the market, and they're keeping you in the dark about sort of what that energy is worth and charging you to make a margin on it when it's fossil fuel. But we have play a different game, and the energy is worth what it's worth. So if it's earlier today, it was 40 cents per kilowatt hour, and the sun was shining, and that's what I made, and that was from both solar and battery combined.
Perfect. Thank you. So this one was in a secondary comment around the multiple cycles per day. So not just the lifespan, but multiple full cycles a day would reduce the warranty coverage as well as for the BESS. Any thoughts around that?
It is only really the Tesla warranty that my understanding is impacted. The Alpha Sungrow have a 10-year and a cycle warranty. Sungrow's, last I checked, came down to more than one cycle per day, so I doubt it would be impacted at all. Alphas, I'd have to double check, but I think there is no impact. In fact, with Alpha, you get 5 years if it's connected to the internet. You get 3 years if it's not. And with us, we'll let you know. We'll send you a prompt. Hey, your system has dropped off. Get it connected back to the net, not only so we can make you money using your battery, but also you'll get your full warranty term. Tesla have the most tried and tested battery on the market and are happy to offer a 15-year warranty when they are doing the optimizations. But this tells us two things. They want you on their platform to continue to make money from you and share some of it with you. And then also they have a lot of confidence in their battery technology, as we do. This battery's been around since 2016. It is a very robust battery. And as I said, it should be cycled or it's not paying for itself. So that comes down to a throughput limit of 37 megawatt hours, last I checked, which is 7 to 8 years, depending on how you use your battery. You can set limits on how you want your battery to be cycled to ensure it's not too negatively impacted. Or you can jump on board and we'll help you pay it off quickly and you can buy a second one.
Perfect. And our last question, I've put a few together here. So basically, one, just reconfirming there's no lock-in contract for the client, and there's been a few mentions of different battery types from Sonens to Sofars. Just wanted to see other batteries on the horizon for that will be available soon for Amber.
Yeah, we are going after the ones that are selling the most, as you can expect. We want to help as many people as we can lower their energy cost as fast as we can. So obviously we started with the big names. We want to do all of them, but we are a small team. And we have limited capacity in what we can do. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to do EVs next as well. So we have a bit of a roadmap of what we want to do. I noticed a question on there about Hive. Yes, Hive works with us. It is a rebranded Alpha ESS, so that's fine. There are a few smaller types of batteries that some partners of ours can optimize, where we pass through the wholesale cost and someone else can do the buying low and selling high, but we're a bit removed from the battery control on that front. So if there are others like Sofar, etc., that you would like us to have a look at, or our partners to have a look at, feel free to reach out, and we'd like to know what's selling in the market so we know where to put our efforts.
Perfect. Thanks, Tim. And I'll throw over to Louis for the last two questions. Do appreciate all the engagement today from all these questions. So, Louis, the first question is around the 10-year option. The question here states that understand there's a 10-year green loan option. Is there a 10-year interest-free option available through Plenty as well?
Yes, so both of our lending products, both green and our interest-free product, do go up to 10 years. The 10-year loan term, though, is dependent on the customer purchasing a battery. So the common denominator to access a 10-year loan term needs to be for a battery, and that can be coupled with a solar system. Yes. Fantastic.
And the last one essentially is, getting a lot of people commenting saying that they love the information here today. How do they sign up to Plenty, to Amber, to GreenConnect? Contact post today. What would you recommend?
Yeah, really good question. I think there's a bit of a closing statement in that as well. And that is, if you are an installer on this webinar today and you're not currently registered to GreenConnect and you're not currently utilizing the many offers that we have on GreenConnect, notably our featured series Amber offers, then you're potentially leaving money on the table to reduce the cost of the battery, or you're leaving money on the table to reduce the payback period of the batteries for your customers. And if your competitors are utilizing many of the offers on the GreenConnect platform, then they're potentially got some leverage or a competitive advantage over you today. So we would encourage all installers, if you're thinking about selling batteries and you haven't yet, then jump on GreenConnect. This could be the catalyst to help you sell batteries sooner. And if you're selling batteries already and you're not utilizing any of the offers on GreenConnect, then please do. This should help convert more batteries. It should help reduce your customers' electricity bills, and many more offers will become available on GreenConnect to help your businesses grow alongside the renewable energy industry. So to join GreenConnect, I would encourage you to reach out to your Plenty business development manager, or go to Plenty's website /GreenConnect and register your interest, and we will be in touch to onboard you onto our GreenConnect platform.
Perfect. Thank you. That rounds out the Q&A part of this presentation. I think I'll probably highlight here as well that we do have all of the questions that you have asked here today. So if there are any, what we will be doing as well is reaching out to everybody that did attend and answer a question. Make sure that you feel that you have adequately heard your response to that question.
Thank you very much for your time. We will now end the webinar session. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.